Qsports. Qsports.
Qsports.
Qsports. Qsports.
Join Mamodu Kajaga. Qsports.
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 Hello and welcome to this special edition of Q Sports. I am Mamodu Gajaga and thank you very much if you're just joining us. And the guest on today's show is Cherno Samba, retired Gambian footballer. This was a man who was destined for greatness as far as playing professional football at the highest level is concerned. And he will take us through his journey until where he is right now. Cherno, welcome to this special broadcast.
Thank you for having me, Mamodu.
Let's talk about your career. As a young player in England at the time, playing for Plymouth Argyle, you played for Millwall as well. You were destined for greatness. You were supposed to play for Liverpool. Tell us what happened along the way.
Well, first of all, I was, I think I was, 14 at the time, 14, 15. And what happened was I was scoring goals left, right and centre. And I had a England call up at the age of 14 playing for the year above my age. And that's when it all started. I remember my second game for England was against Wales. We won 3-1 and I scored and made one. And that's where the big guns came. So it was Liverpool, Manchester United, Leeds at the time. They were big clubs, and Arsenal. So the rest was history. So all the four clubs were interested. So I had to go and, see all four clubs and then decided which club that I wanted to go with.
Okay, at some point in your career you had to go to Spain to try your luck and see if you can revive your career. Tell us about that journey.
So basically, what happened was when the deal didn't go through at Liverpool, because Millwall didn't want me to, they didn't want to sell me on for £2 million. I was devastated after that, so I didn't want to play football for about 6 months. But then after I went back to Millwall, and then I was guaranteed a 3-year contract, 3-year professional contract. So when the contract finished, they wanted to renew it, but I didn't want to because, I just wanted to get out of England and then start somewhere else because I was still thinking about the deal at Liverpool. So the Spanish giant Cadiz came in, which was very good for me at the time. So it was just no-brainer because the type of football that I felt that I played with was always suited me in the Spanish way. So when the Spanish team came, it was just no-brainer for me to just, take the step and went to Spain.
So when you went to Spain and then at some point everything went pip-tong, at some point you had a mental breakdown, you had to take some pills, and at some point you decided this life doesn't worth living in.
Yeah, it was frustrating for me at the time because I went to Spain, I was getting paid very well, I was living in a house looking over the beach, what more would I want as a professional footballer? So you've got everything. But I was lonely. I was drained. I was hurt because they thrust away my dream to go and play for Liverpool or Man United, whoever. And so that kept constant coming to my head, and I kept thinking about it. I said, what could have been and stuff. But I'm a person that I believe in God, and I always say there's a reason for everything. And so it was tough times for me at the time. So to a point where I didn't even want to be here. I used to go to this physio room and just take as much as tablets that I could take, just didn't want to be here. But then luckily, with the grace of God, I'm here today to speak to you.
When it comes to football, we've seen a lot of young footballers look up to the top professionals, the Cristiano Ronaldos, the Messis, you name them. They live a fanciful life, they have the money, they drive all kind of cars, they live a life of luxury. So is it all about the money, that you have to make the money, you have to be a celebrity, or at some point you have to think about your career as a footballer?
Born in the Gambia, raised in Peckham, touted for millions and then shipped out to Spain for nothing, Cherno Samba has lived a little over the last 7 years.
Played up front with Rooney for England.
His career to date, a series of false starts.
Played with Dave.
But now perhaps finally the call has come.
I've never been to Plymouth in my life, but since I've been here, it's somewhere that I would love to stay, and I'm glad that I did.
At 14 he was outstanding, both for Millwall and England youth, and there wasn't a scout in the country who hadn't asked the question. Liverpool even put up £1.5 million for the teenager. Cherno was destined for greatness. Someone had pressed the hype button.
Too much pressure was on me. That's inside football and outside football. You had all these people coming at you and agents. Every Tom, Dick and Harry that I didn't even know. So, and the fact that I didn't move to make that move to Liverpool at a young age, I thought to myself, well, this is my only chance if I miss this.
But he did. The move broke down and Cherno's world fell apart.
There was times that I said to myself, I lost appetite for the game. I wanted to quit. But to be fair, I'll blame some of the stuff back to myself as well, because I didn't want to train hard, and there was stuff that I was ducking and diving because I just lost appetite for the game.
It's a difficult one, because I remember when the deal didn't go through with me and Liverpool. I remember I was actually on the kitchen floor crying my eyes out that why didn't this deal go through. But something bizarre happened. When I was on that floor, the first thing that came to my mind was, if I was to stay back in football, all I cared about was, by the time I retired, I'm financially stable and I can look after myself and my family. That was my motivation after that. I was young and I'm thinking like that. So it depends on the circumstances. Yes, the money's great. Yes, the flash cars, the houses and stuff. But at the same time as well, when you're playing football as a youngster, you just do it for enjoyment. But then later on, that's when, so many things come into it. But it's important, obviously, we all want to get paid for our jobs and well paid. So, but it's up in the balance. It's for me personally, I think as a youngster, you need to think about your career first and play football, and the money will take care of itself. If you're good enough, you'll make the money anyway. But if you want to think about the money before the career, then sometimes it can go the other way.
Let's talk about your revival. This has gone for so many players. It all went wrong. We've talked about players like Emmanuel Ibue. We talked about players like John and Reeser and, David James. These are players who one time were paid nothing less than £20,000, and at some point they go bankrupt. Would you have some advice for young players, probably some potential or professionals who had the money, they had the cars, they have everything, that life could go wrong sometimes?
Yeah, for me, it's always about the cycle you have. The people around you are vital, because sometimes you might have a cycle that they're not always good for you. And personally for me, I was lucky enough to have people that were always looking out for my best interests. So they made sure that I looked after my money. I invested and I saved and done all that things. So that's why today I'm in a situation where financially I'm stable. But these things don't happen to everyone. Some players, as you said, they earn so much money, but the circle they've got, they're just there just to take as much as they can take. They don't advise them the right thing. They don't tell them to invest. They don't tell them to put certain things in place that when they stop playing football, they can have something to fall back on. So it's vital that your circle is very key, the people around you, because those are the people that will help you to get to the next level in terms of financially. But if you've got people that all they want is their own gain, then you're going to struggle. And this is what happens to a lot of people. And sometimes, though, too much money, you get so much money, so you think it's never going to end. So you just splash. But eventually, football we're talking about, 35 most, you're retiring. So you got to think about plan B, because once you're retired, that's it. If you haven't made use of your money, then you struggle. So
coming to that plan B, it is because of the plan B you are where you are today.
Absolutely.
You've wrote your autobiography, your book, still in the game, which is something very, very interesting. And you are also learning to become a professional coach. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so for me, like I said, the people around you. So at the age of coming up to 29, I had a bad ankle injury. And I remember I picked up my phone and spoke to my ex-England manager, who sadly passed away a year ago. He was the one that grew me all my up to the under-21s. And I phoned him and I said, look, I don't know what to do. And then that's when he said, look, obviously financially you're stable, go into the coaching side of it and make sure that by the time you finish, you've got something else that will continue. So I was someone that always wanted to listen and learn anyway. So it was just no-brainer for me to just fit in from playing and then straight to the coaching. So now that I've done my level 1, level 2, my B license and my A license, and I'm raring to go, man.
In England, let's say, we don't want to sound racist here, but black coaches, especially of African origin, do they have any chance of getting to the top level?
For me, my philosophy is different in that, because you have to believe in what you want, and you have to have passion and believe in God first and foremost, and things will happen for you. There are so many things that didn't happen in the hundreds of years ago, and we can go back and that, but now things change. Eventually, there was no black players at the time in the 70s or in the 60s that was that much, but now there's so many black players. So there's not black coaches now, but eventually it will change. That's life. Life evolves, so you got to evolve with it. So my philosophy is different for everything else. I believe it will change. I believe there will be more black players coming to coach, will get a chance. And mark my word, I still believe what I say, and that's no question about that. It will change, definitely.
The book, your autobiography, still in the game? Retired as a footballer, active player, but still in the game. Yeah. In which fashion? What are you trying to send? What kind of a message are you trying to send?
Well, basically, obviously, I'm still in the game. It was just I'm still coaching. I'm still coaching. Sorry, and which means I'm still in the game. If I wasn't coaching or doing anything to do with football, then obviously I'm after the game. So being a professional footballer and now being a coach, I'm still in the game. So it was just fitted in that I'm still standing, I'm still going, and I'm still in the game.
Talk about your connection in the Gambia. At some point, I think in 2008, when Senegal drew 0-0 with the Gambia at the Independence Stadium, I came down on the pitch, shook hands with you. You wouldn't remember because that's a little over a decade ago. So, but many of us were like, okay, he was born in the Gambia. No, he was raised in England. Born in the Gambia, but raised in England. How did it go?
It was, you know, I remember when we were singing the national anthem, I had shivers at the back of my neck. It was one of the most great experience that I had to represent your country of birth, and at a senior level, you can't go beyond that. You can't go higher than that, and we need to acknowledge that. That's big. Some of players, they might say it's just playing for Gambia. No, for me, it meant a lot to me, and standing there singing the national anthem, I'll never forget that day. And it's just one of the dreams that I had. I've always wanted to, I had certain dreams that I set myself out to do in life. And luckily enough, you know, God put me through it. And I'll never forget that day.
Here you are in the Gambia. I'm sure you must be monitoring some Gambian players, seeing how well they're doing, the national team, and then how well Gambian football has gone. Probably you would have an interest in Gambian football. Yeah,
I've always do. Like in my first England game after that, my agent said to me, look, you need to give something back to your country. So the idea came that I wanted to a football club in Gambia. So we opened up Samga FC. So we started from Channel Samba Academy. And then from there, we got a team out from there, and then went to the second division, and then got promoted within a year. So now we're playing in the first division, top Gambian league. So that's still going since 2004. So I get the joy when like yesterday, I came on. When did I came? Thursday, sorry. And then I went to the training ground yesterday, and I see the kids when they come into training, the joy that I get from them, just the happiness they get. So for me, that's accomplishment, and that's for me, it will always stay with me. And just to see that they're developing, and if they're good enough, then we can help them to go and learn their trade in Europe, and then help themselves and help their family. So that's always been my philosophy and my dream, and it's been going very well so far.
Looking at Gambian football, they're shortage in terms of technical capacity, there's shortage in terms of infrastructure, and even administration wise. Probably if there is an area of interest in which you would be supporting in, or which you would try to get your connections into, to look into Gambian football, which area is it going to be, apart from your team, Samga?
Yeah, I think you're talking about the national team, yeah? Yeah. Right, I think with that, how long do we have? It's a key question.
We have so many near misses, not to cut you short. If in 2008, a near miss.
Yeah. My thing is we've got a long way to go. I always say this. I used to say 10 years ago that for us to qualify for the African Cup of Nations or the World Cup, those kids are not born yet. And they used to laugh at me when I said that. We're 10 years now, we still haven't qualified. There's a reason behind that. You know, I hear a lot of things about the GFA, the infrastructure and all that stuff. Yes, that is a key. And I've always give this example where when I was playing for England, we had a game against Tunisia. And from the airport at London Heathrow, the flight was delayed. We got to Tunisia, the bus that was meant to take us to the hotel, it was delayed. We got to the hotel, the food was abysmal. The rooms were chaos. We went on the pitch to train. It was like when people were walking their dogs and stuff. We had a game 24 hours after that, and we beat Tunisia 3-1. Now, all that was set by the English FA on purpose to see our mentality, to see how we will overcome certain situations, to see if we can deliver. And we did that. Us Gambians, it's including myself, we got so many excuses. So many excuses. It's always, oh, this or that, or no. I don't believe in excuses. Now, GFA and the governing body, they have a big part to play. They need to do more. And I feel they can improve themselves and do even better than what they're doing. However, on the other hand, we got to look at ourselves as players. GFA are not the one that's playing on the pitch, are they?
They're not.
They're not. So, I think this is including myself. I remember when I first came to the squad, 24 hours, 72 hours before a game, we're going out to speak to girls. How are we going to perform? You understand? 3 hours before a game, we're eating some starchy rice that's got oil against Senegal. How are we going to perform? The rice is going to sit on us. So these sort of things, so is a teamwork, is a collective thing. So JFA's got a very massive part to play, and they've got to do more and all that stuff. But at the same time, as a professional footballer, you've got to look at yourself in the mirror and said, what can I do and what can I give? There's no excuse. And I've just given a prime example of the difficulty that we had for England, and we still produce. So for us as footballers, always pointing fingers and said, oh, this and that. If the JFA go now, or whoever, you know, I don't want to be here talking about JFA or blah, 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 because they've got a massive responsibility. But if they come out of the way and someone else come or whatever, is it going to change? No. We can have all the infrastructure, all the facility, but if we're not right there, we're not going to produce.
So you mean the mentality needs to change?
Mentality's got to change. The mentality's got to change. We got to stop using excuses. I don't believe in excuses. The mentality's got to change. You know, for example, again, we've come to play for our national team. We're squandering about bonuses. Come on. You know,
and we say that they have every right to claim the bonuses because they deserve the players, they should be paid.
Yes. Do your job first. Make the nation proud. Give your 110%. Then talk about that after. You've come for your country. You haven't come for individuals. You're representing yourself, your family, and your fellow countrymen and women. You understand? So you should play for free for your own country. That's my belief and that's my philosophy. And it's including myself. I'm not taking myself out of it. So there's a lot of things.
You'll get a lot of bashing for this.
Well, the thing with me is I say how it is. And how I've been brought up and taught and raised in England, you got to say what it is. Because there's no point me saying something that I don't believe in, because then that's not my philosophy and that's not my right. So I have my own opinion. So people might say they disagree with my point, but that's my opinion. And so there's a lot of things to change. Nutrition, you know, so many aspects of things. So it's not just one hand, it's a balance.
They had a lot of issues with traveling. Let's say, for instance, it would take you 6 hours to travel to Ghana, but in some instances it takes them like a day or two because of the different travel nightmares in Africa. So I think that also contributes in terms of performance on the field. Because if you get to the pitch and you were very tired.
Absolutely, and that's where I touched on about mentally. These things happens. These things happens, and you've got to be mentally strong and ready for anything. I've gave you a perfect scenario of we traveled the whole day. England to Tunisia is probably about 3 hours flight. It took us the whole day to get there, and we had a game 24 hours after that, and we produced. So these are mental aspects that you face every single day. Forget football. Life itself is hard. Life itself is hard. There's no shortcuts in life, but you got to have mentality, strong will, and know where you're going and know what you want. And with the help of the creator, you get to where you're going to get. Yes, the federation, they've got to do more. They've got to make things a little bit easier for the players. They've got to do more. but it's a shared responsibility here. It's a shared responsibility here. And until we do that, I'm saying this again, another 20 years before we get qualified for anything. Hopefully, it will change. And obviously, I wanna qualify Gambia for the World Cup or African Cup of Nations one day. One day.
That's a big dream.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And it's achievable. You believe in it?
Of course, it's achievable, but it's a plan. It's not, you know. And the other thing we need to realize is that anything can't be fixed just like that. If something happened and you go and fix it now, it's gonna break again. It's a plan. It's a plan. You know, if you're building a house, you don't just come and just start and it's finished. No, you start from foundation. You go. It takes time. So it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time. But with the right principles and the right mindset and the right way, and we all pull the same side, then it can happen. Countries like Zambia, they're not better than us. They're not better than us. You know, and it makes me sad when I see all these nations qualify and we haven't qualified.
Guinea-Bissau,
Mauritania. So, you know, there's something wrong. So it's a shared responsibility. It's a shared, and the other thing as well, us Gambian people, and this including myself, you know. And by the way, I'm not taking myself out of this. I was in the system. You understand? So when I was playing for Gambia, even though I only played 4 games, I was part of it. So it starts from me first. You understand? So from there, until we acknowledge that, we will never ever go to where we want to go to. And the other problem is us Gambians, we get content too easily. You know, the Yaya Tourés, the Didier Drogbas, the Solomon Kalous, all the African players, the SENs, the Sadio Manes, all these players that are earning £250,000 a week. A week. A Gambian player will earn £5,000 a month and will be content with that. No, you got to push more. £5,000 a month. Oh, I've made it. No, you've got to push beyond that.
You have to be ambitious.
Absolutely.
That's quite interesting. Now, on a final note, let's talk about young players who have a big dream of playing pro. And some of them, in the Gambian aspect, are school dropouts. Football is plan A, football is plan B, football is plan C. What's your advice to them?
They've got it totally wrong. Because out of 100 kids, there probably one person will make it. That's how the statistic, that's how hard it is. There's Gambians, Senegalese, Liberians. There's millions of kids around the world want to have the same goal that you have. You understand? So my thing is, what I tell the young kids in England is, you have to stay in education. It's vital. It's so vital, it's beyond belief. Because if you don't make it and you dropped out of education, you haven't got nothing to fall back on. But at least if you stayed in education, still doing your football, if you don't make it, you've got something to fall back on. So football is not guaranteed. You might be a great player. The coach might not like you. Your structure might not be what it is to want to play at the highest level. You might have an injury. It might just not be for you. Then what do? It's not guaranteed. So what I say is, do the football you want to do, but at the back of your mind, still stay in your education. Know that if it doesn't happen, you can have something to fall back on. You know, you have players, ex-players like Gary Lineker, who's got degrees. You understand? Who's got degrees. So why can't you have degrees as well?
The host of the Match of the Day on the BBC.
There you go. Match of the Day at BBC. But he's very intellectual, very intelligent, and he's got degrees. I think he's doctorate or something, one of them things. So if he didn't go to the career he pursued, he would just be a doctor or something. So it's vital that these kids realize, out of 100 kids, there's only one person that will make it. And as the quicker they know this, the better for them, and they will learn from that, and and that will help them and make them a very good stead in life. Because life, as I said earlier, life is not easy itself. But if you want to take shortcuts, it will always come back on you. You have to be honest. There's no shortcuts in life. You have to be honest and have your wisdom, but at the same time as well, have at the back of the mind that this might not work out. And if it doesn't, at least you've got education to fall back on.
On that note, Chano, it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure as well having me here. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All the best.
No problem.
Qsports. Qsports.
Qsports.
Join Mamodu Gajaga